If you're meeting with a client, how can you tell the future or explain the past in a way that engages them and makes them want to know more, but at the same time makes it infinitely more difficult for your competition to sell against you? Important question. I'm Scott Silverbell. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento, California on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you. And today we're talking about why bear traps work in sales. And a bear trap is this. I'm taking a concept, an idea, a strategy, something a salesperson and a competitor is going to do. I'm wrapping it with reason why logic, and I'm feeding it back to the client in a way that makes sense to them in a few sentences. Remember, it's important that you tell the truth. Don't make anything up. But you're feeding the part of the brain that's targeting reason why information. It's how we think. It's one of the cool things about psychology. So the reason why bear traps work in sales is because you're targeting reason why and you're using curiosity. It's like the dynamic duo. Like if I had two things that I could use in the sales process, I'm going to use reason why and I'm going to use curiosity. I'm going to use them to my advantage, and I'm going to share truthful things with my client or with my buyer. Remember, please be ethical. Don't make stuff up. You don't have to. So the power of this is in the story. Now, I don't care what political, organization that you're with and where you're at in the world. This happens everywhere. And I'm going to give you the example here in the United States because that's where I live. And we've got Democrats, we've got Republicans, we got Democrats, okay? That's pretty much what it is. I mean, there's a bunch of groups in between, but like those are the main ways that you can divide stuff up that are gonna make sense to you pretty much anywhere in the world. And so here's what happens. Something happens in the news, doesn't matter what it is. There's a rush to the cameras. And the rush is like, I got to go be the first person to tell the story and set the frame. I got to be the person that explains what's going down. I got to share with you this insight. And if you ever want to know how important this is, super important, the colleges every single year will have a professor come in. And the professor will come in with a clipboard or a book or, a tablet, and they'll tell a story, fabricated, 100% made up. And then they will get the class to believe in it. They'll get the class to buy into it. And then once they buy into it, they don't really ever talk about it again. And then like on the last day of the semester, the professor comes in and he's like, gosh darn it, kind of forgot to tell you, I made up that thing on the first day of class. Well, here's the thing, because it was the first story, and it was because it was the first thing that they heard in university about that concept or idea, their brain formed beliefs around it and ideas and concepts around it. And even in the face of being told that it was not true, they still clung to that idea, right? So like that study just alone by itself should blow your mind. Use it for ethical purposes. Don't make anything up. You don't have to do that. Okay. But like when you're the first salesperson in, you're the first consultant in, and you're explaining what's going down and you're using reason why logic, you are being the person who's the first story sharing like, hey, here is what the situation is. Here's what to expect. Here's what you're going to see. This is why this is going to happen. And if you're like the third person in, that's cool too, because you've got primacy and recency. So it doesn't always work to your favor to be the last salesperson in or the middle salesperson if people get 3 bids or talk to multiple people. This really works effective if you are the first person, but it's also effective. Sounds kind of contradictory to what I just shared to you about first story. It's also effective if you can explain away why somebody did what they did, because you are the first person telling that story of the reason why they did it. Okay, does that make sense? So you're like, Scott, wait. You're saying that if I have a salesperson go out to a property, meet with a buyer, meet with a client, and be the first person to tell a story, that they're not always necessarily the first person to tell the story? Correct. Correct. So just like you might have to diagram this out. I know I shared with you that the university students believe that thing, but we're also using reason why logic, and we're pinpointing why somebody did what they did. Using curiosity, facts, tell the truth, okay? So like this is my belief of business aikido. This is my belief of like, hey, I'm gonna use my competition's force, let me use that term roughly, force against them, whatever they're doing, whatever they're saying, and put it into a frame that makes more sense for the reason why I do things, okay? So there's a reason why they do things, and there's a reason why I do things. And the reason why I do things are important, the reason why they do them, not so good, okay? Be truthful, don't make stuff up. So this could be a quasi-warning. This could be like a partial warning of what to expect. Because like either if they haven't talked to anybody else, you're telling the future. If they have talked to somebody, you're explaining the past. Okay? Just important things for you to understand. And so you're not selling, it's advice. You're setting the expectation, or you're explaining a position that somebody had. And so the reason why this works so well in sales is when conversational and when just talk through, it doesn't feel like a sales process, and it doesn't feel like you're forcing information. So if I say, do you want to know the reason why that happens? And somebody says yes, they're allowing me to continue on with the conversation and explain something that's going to make sense. They're allowing me to say, yes, I'm engaged. I want to know. Now, does it work 100% of the time? No. So like I would be making stuff up right here today if I said 100% of the time this works. There's going to be times when you roll this out for the first couple of events that you look at it and you're like, hey, that was a dud. What did I do wrong? Your timing could have been off. You didn't role play it. You didn't practice it. Remember, this isn't a long story. It's like 3 to 7 sentences at most. You want to know the reason why they do that? Yeah, here's what they do. Here's the explanation. And then you just let it go. And then you're going to end with, is that something you want to deal with? Is that something you really want to be involved with? Do you think you would want to do business with a company like that? And they're going to come back and go, no. No, there's usually a weird reaction. There's usually no, I don't want to do with that. And like sometimes at that point, they'll go, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let's go ahead and do business. And like, you didn't ask for the sale. You weren't trying to angle for the close. Like, they just made up their mind. They just said the bear trap worked. They didn't say this. They didn't go, gosh darn it, sales guy. I know what you did. You set a bear trap against the competition and you got me. I'm good to go. No, like at some points, people will just say, I'm just ready to move forward. I don't want to have to deal with that. So this is why it's super important for you to tell the truth. Please, please, please don't make anything up. You don't have to. There's things that you do that your competition, there's things that your competition does that sucks. Okay. You don't have to make this stuff up. You just let them suck and let them go against the grain and cause a bunch of problems for yourself, and then laugh as you cash commission checks. Remember, deliver what you promise. Like the worst thing as a consumer is for a salesperson to make things up, collect commissions, and then never deliver what they promise. So, if you're planning on doing business with me and you're like, Scott, did you use a bear trap in the sales presentation? I might have. But then again, that's my job. I sell things. It's my job to tell stories. It's my job to give you information. It's my job to share with you why things work. And so I can give you a reason why. Do I use this when I have conversations with people? Absolutely. I do. Because I know what I'm doing and I know who I'm against and I know what they do. So there you go. You got 1 to 3 things to do from here. You can like the video. You can subscribe to the channel if you haven't before. And you can leave a comment. Hey Scott, I like the video. I'm really looking forward to using a bear trap. And the reason why is they sound fantastic. We'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. Aloha.